are tied at 3-2. Let's get on the Rift and see which team will be able to create that separation.
Absolutely. Bringing us onto the Rift to kick things off. I do like that we're going to get to see the Uniboy Zoe. It had been banned away from him a lot at the start of the split. Taking a look across the board at all of our rune choices. No major surprises on that one. And yeah, I feel like Beyond may have drafted themselves into a little bit of a corner, but perhaps they can pull this one off. They do have a lot of damage. Husha has been looking really good lately, and a Diana can make all the difference. That is your primary ball delivery system after all.
Yeah, this comp is going to be very, very reliant on Husha to make the plays. And while he doesn't necessarily pop off during the early game, mid-game, mid-late game, really where he finds his stride here. So look for him to farm up, get those full clears in, and be explosive towards those portions of the game. Whereas on the flip side for J Team, Kongyue wants to get a little bit done, doesn't have to do a ton here in the early game because he knows the scaling is going to be good enough with the amount of range he has in his backline, but he just needs to make sure that they're able to still find some advantages here. And nothing too extravagant, but it will be a bot side start for both teams, so finishing on that top side. Of course, when it comes to Jace, you want to try and give him a little bit of those early resources.
Yeah, if they can funnel a bit into Driver, that certainly can make a difference. The Driver's not normally the player that I look at on the J-Team side as being the one to give resources to, but he's not usually rocking champions like this Chase anyways. He's been a lot more on the Gragas duty, maybe doing some Graves of his own, but yeah, this is actually going to be an interesting matchup up there. And of course, the bottom, we do see Enzo starting off strong by getting Wako on the hook. It does allow Lil V to get some poke out, and this is something we've seen time and time again in this matchup, that the Jinx can out-poke and force back the Aphelios. Doesn't matter what support is there with you.
Yeah, exactly. The Jinx, with her rocket form, is able to push out that back way very, very easily. Now the Young's going to get a ward. That's going to spot out Kongyue, and that helps out BYG considerably. And just keeping track of where Kongyue is, make sure they don't get ganked and have to burn early summoners against a Lee Sin gank.
Everybody who plays against J-Team knows that they have to pay the Kongyue tax. It's a very, very inexpensive fee for the low, low cost of one ward, but you can always get on your trinket. You too can spot a Kongyue today.
And it looks like Husha is actually going for a recall, and that might give an opening for Kongyue to try and make a play for Graves right after that scuttle, but we'll just one-shot the crab, make his way through that river and straight towards that next crab. But yeah, I mean,
they're gonna get double scuttle,
setting it up for him.
That's a pretty good start, and you know, you mentioned he doesn't have to do as much. I do feel like Kongyue is always going to try, but he's certainly going to wait for the first back before he does anything on that one. It feels like bot lane is you know, it's a natural target, but that's why the Tahm Kench is here, right? Like, Kino should be able to body block a fair bit, even if he doesn't have access to Devour just yet. Husha's kind of preempting this on level 4. Interestingly enough, they don't know that Kongyue has backed. I don't think they expected to get double scuttled.
Yeah, I think they probably got lost a little bit where Kongyue was, even though they did, of course, spot him out on that blue buff. And I think they were just expecting Kongyue to stay in that bot lane to try and sneak a gank in once that wave started to push out. But, I mean, the wave's kind of a bit trapped in a good spot for the side of BYG in this instance. And they're going to be able to have control of that wave. But it also means Lil V gets to go home, gets himself that call. So looking to, you know, slow this lane down and scale up. So I like this look coming in from J-Team so far.
It's a chill J-Team game.
Exciting.
Yeah, and that's okay. You know, like we've had some real slobber knockers. We've had a couple of stomps. You know, J-Team. It does feel like even with the roster change-up, it's a team that kind of likes to take it a little bit easy in the early stages of the game. The meta certainly favors it right now with the hyper-scaling on the AD carry. Just don't get caught. You'll be all right. You don't need to wait for the Diana gank because it's not coming until 6 happens. Kongye a little bit down, going to be on ward clear duty, and actually just solo starting this Ocean Dragon. One of the things that Lee Sin does allow you to do, they are going to be bringing in Uniboy's Zoe here, as well as Lil V and Enzo, so this is telegraphed, but there's not much they can do to stop it. It's good, clean, fun macro play. It's League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of tell it was a bit telegraphed when Jinx went into rocket form and started really hard shoving that bot wave when it was starting to come towards them. So he could have definitely just froze and threatened a freeze there in that instance, but instead they go ahead, crash it, and turn their attention over towards that early dragon. Once again, a pre-6-minute dragon. Thank God those first couple games weren't the trend for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely more of an anomaly, just how long the Dragons were getting to live. J-Team started this one. I'm actually really curious what the Soul's going to be, because we've had so many Ocean Souls in this league, so many Cloud Souls. I am so excited for the prospect of like another like Hextech one or like an Infernal. Those always make the games really spicy. Husha really wants this gank, though, and he actually rolls up top for the lane gank. Kind of blew his experience advantage against Kongye, still at level 5, and he's just going to be forced to back. Husha's kind of spent a lot of time waiting around.
Yeah, we kind of saw a little bit of this, of course, last year, just playing for his lanes, making sure that they don't get harmed. But as a result, in this instance, Kongye actually hasn't turned his attention to the lanes because he hasn't needed to. He has winning lanes, and these lanes will outscale as well. So it's like, why should I force the issue when I can just continue to farm up? Yes, Lee Sin's not exactly the most ideal jungler to just power farm on, but at the same time, why ruin a good thing you have in these lanes?
Yeah, it's working out well across the board, and if the jungler isn't happy, at least the rest of the lanes can be. That's going to be the shove in, down, bottom, and back, and you know, the leads on the CS are not like massive. They're not insurmountable by any means. It's like it's a wave or less in most cases, and I think the only really example past that is topside with Driver. Of course, he's getting free farm while Liang had to back away. And that might be where we start to open up on the kills, but this is definitely one of our slower games, our more chill games. We're going to have to put on those lo-fi hip-hop beats and just kind of like kick back for a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a kickback kind of game where we're going to be relatively slow until perhaps attention gets turned towards this Rift Herald. That could be a possibility. But for the time being,
that might be now.
80 carries haven't made their way up, although supports have. So both teams certainly turning their attention towards this, but will one of these teams just go ahead, back off if one side does show numbers?
I think while they're aware of this happening, it should be a decent take. You have Kino coming up here, and there's Liang looking for a collapse. I don't know if they want this, though, on the Beyond side. Driver's here, too, and they have more than enough firepower to pop that eye a couple of times, take out the big glowing weak spot. And, yeah, this is J-Team just kind of like objective victories across the board. It's slow and steady wins the race, but it's kind of how they've typically liked to play, and even with Kongye in the roster, it feels like that style is winning out.
It feels a bit of a mistake for the side of Beyond to go ahead and give that up, but because they rotate their support or Kino back to bot lane much faster than Enzo, well, as a result, Wako actually gets quite a few plates for his trouble, and that's actually quite a bit of extra gold going into his pocket, which is really nice, and it completely overrides the advantage you would get from the Rift Herald, at least initially. We'll see if they're able to cash in on first brick because of this Rift Herald. That will be important to track because that gives you that extra gold advantage that you would have lost for that even plate trade. But I mean, for BYG, again, this is a composition that's really a molasses composition. It's very slow.
Oh, no.
Slow and steady, but there's no explosiveness to it. And if there's no explosiveness, how do you nail down this J-Team backline, which has a Jace, which has a Zoe, and has the Jinx?
Yeah, I feel like that's the hard part, right? We were asking ourselves this question at the start of Pickman, or at the end of Pickman, like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Because all the explosive potentials on J Team, of course, they're keeping it nice and slow. But man, what a way to call it, a molasses composition. Kongi is going to look for a place to pop
so
this Herald.
slow.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons we're 10 minutes in with no first blood, right? I mean, this is definitely kick back and relax type of game. Kongi is going to look for opportunities. I think if they can get a dive down bot, they might be able to secure themselves first brick. But you know, with Enzo,
still a Tom Kench.
With Enzo, yeah, Mia, and Tom Kench there. I feel like they know something's up. It's just going to be the Dragon start once again. Kino is in a position, so is Husha. We might actually have our first proper skirmish this game, but all of a sudden the warning bells are sounding, and J-Team actually bail out.
Korea immediately leaves the pit when he sees BYG starting to approach from that ward, and just allows it to reset. I mean, again, like, J-Team, they don't want to fight or force a fight here. Because, again, they have better scaling. If they're able to land a couple of poke, that's really nice, and that might get them to try and further commit to the fight. But with teleports here, maybe they kind of go for a teleport exchange play, bringing down their top laners. Because, again, while... okay...
No, he's going to go for it. Oh, and he had the level disadvantage, but he did force the flash out of Husha all the same.
Chat.
Hey, you take those. It's as close as Kongi is getting to first blood all game.
It's the closest we're getting to action. And because the flash is burned on their jungler, it means that J-Team are going to go ahead and start out this dragon. Can Husha get in here? That's the question.
Enzo hook interrupted. Here we go. The first proper fight. And they do get the knock up onto Husha, but he gets swallowed immediately. There's first blood as Enzo gets taken down. And a good two-man moonfall into the ball delivery system. Beyond Gaming hunting for more. As Wako takes out Lil V in the end, they make J-Team pay dearly for that dragon take. And Driver, a little bit of misfire, but he does go to the skies. And Liang trying to absorb the damage. Driver should be able to walk away from this one.
All right. Recapping that fight. Okay, Kongra, he's hunting.
Yeah, we don't have time.
He's hunting.
He's going to pop the Herald, wait for it, and that is the blowback. The flash away. Liang might live, but this should be a lot of plates at the top. They do need to make up for how many they lost down on the bottom. There goes 3. No, they actually just trade even all said and done. And meanwhile, Wako is actually doing even more work on bottom. He might secure first brick for himself. Not quite yet, but close.
He is very, very close. He won't be able to finish it on that wave, but it sets up for a kill opportunity here. Husha is hanging in the bushes. Doesn't have his ultimate, though.
No, that's the preemptive flame chompers. I think Lil V knows that the game is up here. So, Beyond Gaming, after all of that, turned first brick, despite losing out on so many of the neutral objectives. Let's take a look at this fight again, because even without the flash, Husha was still threatening quite a lot, and this collapse did come in when it needed to. No hook for Enzo at all after that.
Yeah, Enzo walks up here, tries to create space for his carries, but, I mean, like, again, for the side of BYG, they want to fight because their opportunity is when J-Team kind of funnel themselves and corral themselves and give BYG the opportunity to use this Shockwave Moonfall combination, and in that instance, they were very, very successful. However, that was without the full 5v5 squad, right? And when you bring in the Jace, all of a sudden the poke gets a little bit more oppressive. Uniboy wasn't given an opportunity to use the Sleepy Trouble Bubble a whole lot, or at least try and set up for poke with his kit. So that will also change in future fights. But for the time being, BYG, they get themselves a small gold advantage. Whereas on the flip side, J-Team, they still have a 2-dragon advantage and are setting themselves up to try and make a soul play.
Absolutely. Beyond will need to try and cut them off on that one. But you do see the game plan coming in. Well, the 4-man is perfectly happy to fight. Liang has got himself a hole breaker, and I do believe there's going to be a lot of side laning happening in the future.
Yep, name of the game. Hull breaker obtained.
It's a PvE item, really.
Yeah. It's, we'll see how much he can get done with this item as Driver. He Instead of completing the man immune first and getting that to stack faster, I actually like the pivot over towards just rushing the Eclipse here because he needs that extra sustain. That's going to help him out considerably in making sure he's topped off, so he's able to take some of these trades. And now with second Rift Herald spawning, I really don't think J-Team want to go for a fight here unless if they bring the rest of the squad and land a couple of these poke tools.
Well, so far it's just been a couple love taps. Minji does get hit on one, and Rift Herald is pulled out the pit right now. Should reset very quickly if they move even an inch away from it. And Husha's kind of locked into this one. Nope, there it goes. Meanwhile, Leon taking a fair bit of damage. Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to dodge and force the reset. J-Team, I think they're a bit leery of starting this, though. I don't know who this 5v5 favors, and Husha's wrapping around the side for the slow collapse.
Husha wants to try and find a collapse. I mean, for J-Team, they really don't want to force the issue here. They want to take these fights a lot slower and allow the poke to land. Now, interestingly enough, we do have Mountain Rift. Mountain Dragon about to spawn in 40 seconds, but when it comes to Mountain Rift, it means that these choke points are going to be a little bit tighter, which means also that the Wombo potential is that much better coming in from BYG because you have so much burst damage, right? If you land the Shockwave or the Moonfall, that makes the Graves kit really, really easy to land, right? You Q Rs and it's just a bunch of damage unloaded onto the side of J-Team, and that's really their hope here. But with Lil V taking this top tower, I don't think they're going to look to try and contest this next dragon, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Gonna handshake.
Because, I mean, this is a power spike here for the side of BYG when it comes to getting that proto belt completed. It's just so much burst potential coming in from this Diana pick, and you let that one go, just continue to delay the game just a little bit more. Once you get that second and third item here for J-Team, that's where things get real nice, because now those shock blasts, these sleepy not these sleepy trouble bubbles, but the paddle stars really start hurting like a drum.
Absolutely. I do like Lil V with the optimistic Jinx Rocket. You always want to try to cross map. It's a little harder than it used to be, not as much AoE damage as in the past, but Lil V on the side lanes trying to affect the map as far as he could, maybe snipe away the dragon, which would have really changed the calculus of this game. But yeah, as we are getting into the 18-minute mark, still very much slow and steady, wins the race for sure, as it's only 2 kills, and those in the pockets of BYG finding themselves in power spike for the time being. But the scaling still favoring J-Team. Driver on the side lane, and it does seem to be that this is going to be the Rift Herald popped bot looking for another charge. It'll certainly kill the bottom lane turret. Meanwhile, Sleepy Trouble Bubble landed! Oh man, Kino, his health bar evaporated, could not get the gray health on.
Yeah, can't charge up the gray health if you are asleep. And he went straight to the grave.
Too big of a meal. Sometimes you just get a little sleepy after those, you know?
Yeah, too much of a food coma right there. And now Konya trying to set up for a possible play here, knowing that there's no protection for the backline. There isn't a Tahm Kench Devour, which is why BYG are playing so far back. Because they know if they get jumped on, they are just dead. There's no protection.
It's actually over. Husha, though, is going to try and flank the flankers here. Minji somehow dodges every skill shot thrown his way, and Uniboy gets rooted for just a second. Meanwhile, Husha as well as he goes forward, but it's Enzo there, and now Liang trying to chase into the choke point, doesn't find the damage. J-Team gets spooked enough to back off, though.
And they go ahead, back off. It ends up being a bit of a reset, which I think is much better, of course, for J-Team in this instance, but you can already see some part of their compositions coming alive after just getting those mythic items, even though I would say that second item even better for this squad once you get that upgrade in Muramana from Driver. That's going to be a massive boon.
Pretty good objective strength from both squads. That does mean that backing away changes a lot, and Rocket comes down, looks like it whizzes past Aphelios' ear. They really want that mid tower. That opens the map up a lot for J-Team.
It does indeed, and Liang's going to expend the ult to try and clear
driver.
the way. Driver.
Whoa, that's going to be two-man pull-in for the Diana. That changes things quite a bit as Wako gets the kill credit.
Huh.
Beyond, yeah, that was ill-advised. Driver, you should have backed up and reversed, not gone forward.
I think he fell asleep at the wheel there.
Oh, no. Too many sleepy puns, man. We're casting from North America. It's not fair.
That is a baffling play.
Yeah,
say the least.
Okay, I want to see where this rocket was supposed to go. Was that like a Hail Mary steal the red buff? I mean, Lovi's been really fast and loose with these.
It looks like that was what he was trying to accomplish, but
okay, driver, why? What? Also baited Uniboy too.
He ends up sucking Uniboy into that. And as a result, Uniboy has to expend his flash. So 2 key flashes down for J-Team means that it's going to be very difficult for them to contest this next dragon, which I would say is the fight that they're really building up towards. Why? Because you now have to compete in Manamune or into the Muramana. That's when this should have been a really big power spike. But now you're kind of put in a position where perhaps we just have to wait one more dragon and contest on the 5th dragon rather than this one.
And the sustain is there too. Wako completes the Bloodthirster now, and it's going to be a little bit tough to deal. Immortal Shield Bow on the side of Liang, and they'll keep him up top side as they look to pull this. He does have teleport. He's not this, come at me, Graves. He's going to be a little bit more of a team player this time around, and they should be able to just start up Dragon with Minji right now. They're strong enough to do it, but J-Team will not give this up without a fight, and they're actually turning. The teleport comes in. They've caught Enzo. He's on the run, already at about half his health, but he stays alive. Liang, meanwhile, on the flank side, does find a little bit of chip damage onto Kongye, but now that they pulled the trigger, they have to commit.
Yeah, and there's no healing on Lil V, so that catch is very, very critical here for BYG. That's going to give them a massive advantage when it comes to starting out and getting posturing around this dragon. But for the side of J-Team, they still want to try and contest this. They are going around the other side. So it will be a 5v5, and we're just going to see a big flip right here.
Yeah, with the dragon being pulled all the way out of the rift, resetting back in due to that
poke?
mountain.
Okay, that's a pick, possibly.
They've got him. Kino, a little low in this one. Does have great health when he needs it again going forward, but this is going to be a 50-50. I'm not sure if Beyond Gaming really want this one. The jump in, the kickback! Kongye wants it, and he steals it all away. And now they're going to try to steal the lives of Beyond Gaming. Shockwave, not enough to kill anyone, but it does push J-Team back. Dragon stolen, no kills gained on either side, but a close call across the board.
Oh, that was just a razor's edge. I'm really going either way because Wako is just so strong right now here. And if the side of J-Team made a misstep, that would have allowed Wako to really pop off. You saw how many chakrams he had charged up at the end of that fight. But it was, again, the poke coming in from Driver, from Uniboy, and then Kongria lining up the kick, getting a multi-man kick to combine with those poke tools to really set up a large health advantage to dissuade BYG to continue to push for that fight.
Yeah, my goodness. Kongye sets it up, lines it up. I don't think I've seen a kick that impactful since the beginning of 300. That was... Like, how could you not know that was coming? But it was brilliant all the same. Shockwave pushes them all back. And Beyond Gaming, I think they're finding this J-Team a little bit tough to swallow. Very close gold game, however. It is now soul point for J-Team.
Yep, and that's really important here because with Mountain Dragon, Mountain Soul is really good for both sides, right? Because it's going to be a lot harder to get burst down by the AP combination coming in from BYG as Enzo is possibly caught out.
He does get to Dredgeline himself away. Yeah, he's going to be okay. And Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands on Kino, but no follow-up. So both supports kind of just, doing their job sniffing. But Enzo's the one who gets caught out. And you're right, Soul is going to be incredibly important. This game has definitely teeter-tottered a bit, but the gold game has never been more than 2,000 in anyone's favor. And it's just such a low-kill game. I mean, I feel like it's a bit of a cosplay LCK, at least in seasons past. Got to check with the Rocket. It's on a low enough cooldown. That's fine. Beyond are not doing it.
Interesting that he went for that. because of the fact he did have blue trinket up and available. Could have just walked
It's faster than blue
doesn't
trinket.
even have to go too far as well.
Yeah.
But at the very least, they, mission accomplished. They got vision of it, and really, it's all about stalling here for J Team. They want to make sure BYG don't start out the Baron within really the next 1.5 minutes, because after it gets into that 1 minute range, that's when you might not necessarily have enough time to reset if you're trying to do a Baron dance into the next dragon, and that's going to give a lot of space over for J Team to capitalize and get that Mountain Soul. If J Team get the Mountain Soul, it allows them to become that much harder to one-shot with the combination from BYG. But if BYG are able to somehow get 3 in a row, the amount of resistances they are going to get from those dragons is going to allow them to take some of this poke to get in range to go for that combination.
Yeah, well, the way this game is going, I think it's entirely possible we see 3 more dragons going the way of Beyond Gaming, unless J-Team pull off some more of those steal shenanigans. We could be in for a very long one. I believe the longest we've had this split so far happened yesterday at about 40 minutes. But we'll see if things keep going on this one. Now, the meta, though, is an interesting one where a big fight past 30 can really just end it, depending on where and when exactly. But with the stakes right now, the dragon being so important to the side of J-Team, Beyond, by virtue, really have to try and contest this, or really have to try and deny this. It does mean that J-Team could just choose to trade and grab the Baron instead, but they want to go for the fight. They've teleported Driver already in, and not even engaging, just poking here. Seems like a bit of a snap judgment. They don't know where Husha is, but it's going to be the dragon setup here for Beyond Gaming. Still 40 seconds for the spawn.
Yeah, this is incredibly scary for J-Team to go ahead and face check, right? Because they don't have any vision, so they're going to have to check with essentially their poke tools. And it looks like they understand that as well. Go ahead and back off, and for Beyond Gaming, they really want to try and force this fight here with 20 seconds before the dragon spawns. Both teams splitting off.
Yeah, they do manage to find Liang and Enzo. Kongye is going to safeguard
tanky.
to him. Liang is on the front line looking for more damage. He's the one that can dish out the poke, and Enzo just has to tank it. Meanwhile, Beyond are going to try to back away. Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to land onto Husha. Rocket comes in, onto Minji, and that's some huge damage onto the Orianna. That might open up the opportunity as Uniboy deletes Kino off the map. It's a 5v4, and the go button is pressed, baby. Husha's going to get caught right now. Onto the Flame Choppers will go as he does flash away just in time. Meanwhile, Shockwave turnaround. Enzo Lilvi, meanwhile, on the back line. Everything's going insane, but it's Uniboy on the front to turn on the pressure to take down Husha. Liang is by himself, and it's all J-Team.
And the side of JTD come out with an explosive win on 2 fronts there. Really well played coming in from Uniboy, playing around the walls and choke points and using that to really put these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles in really nice positions to split the side of Beyond. And now they're going to have that Mountain Soul to their name. And those extra resistances just makes it that much harder for the side of BYG to play this game. And we're kind of seeing the range at play here as we get to see the replay of this fight. It starts out with a hook. Enzo, I mean, he has the Glacial Augment, which makes it easier to go for picks. But the issue is he's not very durable himself. That's why he gets chunked out so heavily. And then, I mean, Uniboy, he's just such a massive hero. Like, he lands Sleep Trouble Bubble,
We got to talk about
lands
this fight, though, man.
like,
we got a whole other thing
and
happening.
we continue on.
Oh!
Driver, he's dead, 1 for 1.
Yeah, that's 2 stasis
Whip.
for Lilvi and Enzo.
Okay.
Really good support and AD carry synergy, but it might be them both going down after the Baron. The double kill. Nightstar! My, how the turntables!
I think they didn't reset.
No,
They
they
got
didn't.
a little bit greedy off of that play. And while they were able to secure that Baron, as you can see up in the Baron power play, it's a negative 1500. So
They got the Baron, but at what cost? Either way, they have Soul. They've taken Baron off the board. We're going to go into that replay as well because things got a little hectic as Minji teleported in. Not a lot of opportunities to steal. You could maybe
No
see
mana.
the shockwave happening, but he just opts. Okay, yeah, not a chance on that one. A little bit too late. And yeah, the Kino gets deleted. Oh, great.
Oh, that was a nice play.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, then they really overstay their welcome here, especially Driver. And Enzo and Lil V, oh boy. Synchronized stopwatches.
They just didn't have the tools to continue fighting that, right? Because Driver, he's pretty low on mana. Uniboy also low on mana, and when you expend a bunch of cooldowns to also try and burst down that Baron buff, you don't have the follow-up cooldowns to then take the ensuing fight. You need to be a little bit more patient, allow those timers to come back up. However, still, J-Team do have the Baron buff, and that will allow them to establish a little bit of a shove, but for the most part, because they lost a couple of them, it means that they aren't able to really try and crack these or all of the tier 2s. They might be able to get 1 or 2, but I don't think all 3 are falling.
Yeah, either way, I think J-Team, despite that fight loss and the fact that they can't get quite as much out of their Baron, while they do have a very annoying cannon minion working his way on that tower, I still think they're going to be okay with the fact that they have the scaling on their side, they have the tempo advantage. The game is solidly theirs at the moment to dictate. Not theirs to win or lose just yet, but certainly to dictate the pace of it. Beyond are going to have to dance to the beat of their drum. Beyond Gaming have to find a big fight, but you know, you talked about how the way this team fights, it is a little slow like molasses. It's consistent damage, but they have to find a pickup. They have to get Lil V, they have to get Uniboy. Heck, they have to get Driver. They've been able to at the very least, but there's a lot of deep threats on the J-Team side now.
Yeah, and for the side of J-Team, they just have to play patient. They can't just immediately force the issue, because if they do that, they will be walking into a very easy to land combo, right? The Shockwave Moonfall, very easy to land if they're just kind of delivering themselves to you handpicked. So I think the next play, of course, is going to be around this Elder Dragon. That's coming up in 1 minute. So you're just trying to get as many items as possible to set yourself up for success. And I mean, on the flip side for BYG, really the member to look out for, yes, you want to keep track of those 2 big ultimates, but after the fight ensues, it's really all up to Wako to try and carry. Yes, Liang is relatively strong. Okay, they just go ahead, kick Kino.
They've got him again. He's going to go ahead and take the Abyssal Voyage, but the rocket, it doesn't quite connect. That's the first time I've seen Kino getting caught and not just getting blown up. But okay. Shock Blast. It does chase them back. That might open up a turret.
I think it's going to be a little bit more important than just the turret, because now they have a lot better posturing around this Elder. That is coming up in 15 seconds. They will be able to burst down this tower, and then it's about falling back towards this dragon. They've got a lot of forward positioning here, but I think that is the Scuttle Crab Vision obtained by the side of BYG, so they'll know if they start falling back towards that area. But I mean, all eyes on the dragon set, right?
Minji does just ding level 16 as well, so a little bit of a milestone there. And for J-Team, there were some backs. Looks like it was mostly Driver. That was about it. And the rest of them have stayed, looking to try and find a pick. Kino is the one that gets caught for just a moment. Meanwhile, the rest of the team comes in. Man, those shock blasts are starting to hurt. They've got him corralled, and here comes Kongye looking for an opening around the side. Meanwhile, Enzo is going to get caught right in the middle, but he is tanking through. And they've got the kickback, and Wako goes to the skies and buried 6 feet under. Minji on the run from Uniboy. He might have the shockwave, but it just doesn't matter. And the team is cleaning up. Liang does get a double kill on the back half, and that might be enough to save the fight, but they turn their attention over to Kino and Usha. Big shock blast. They just need a little more, and they will be able to delete him. Driver on the front, chasing down Kino. It doesn't matter what Liang does, because he's out of teammates.
There's no one left on his side. Uniboy has the red smite, will be able to use it, reduce some damage, but Liang's still quite strong, but not strong enough. Gets those bonus resistances from the Hullbreaker, but that doesn't matter against a Void Staff Serelda's Grudge on those solo laners, and it will be the solo lanes also able to capitalize and get this Elder Dragon. That's a big boost to them, and it will be all 5 people able to get the buff because they're all going to be respawned.
Yeah. Driver just taking this by himself. I mean, you're level 18 right now. You got all the damage. Okay, Uniboy was trying to make a token effort to help out, but that is a big win for J-Team on this one. It looked like for a second Leong was going to maybe even the odds a bit, but didn't end up happening. Minji forced to blow the shockwave to try and chase Uniboy off. Of course, it's already back up off cooldown, but oh boy, this J-Team sure knows how to fight.
Yeah, and again, like BYG, they don't have a whole lot of defensive tools, right? When Keynote, oh my god,
yeah, that's late game Jace.
That could have been a one-shot. That could have been a one-shot with the extra execute coming in from the Elder, but now it should just be a very, very easy Baron because the side of BYG, they don't want to fight against this Elder Soul. That's just way too hard to contest. Like Uniboy, he has most certainly the ability to one-shot with the bonus damage coming in from Elder Soul and the execute. And now, can they walk out of this?
Look at where Husha is right now. He seems to be thinking they can fight it, but I don't know about that one. I mean, they have damage, they have the ball delivery.
Yeah.
I think they're going to back away. I mean, J-Team are playing, they have every advantage right now. Baron buff, Elder, Mountain Soul. They should be able to knock down whatever objective they want, but there is always the chance that the fight turns. Because even though this is the biggest gold lead it's been, it's still under 10,000. And now you're at a point in the game where that starts to mean a lot less. Leong has been showing up huge in these fights. That was off the back half, obviously, when everybody else was dying. But he's going to have to pull triple duty if he wants to get these kills, as he's fast asleep right now. Uniboy looking to hit him with the Paddle Star, not going to find it. Inhibitor number 1 taken, and it looks like we've got the slow burn coming through. This should be a J-Team victory pending an insane comeback fight here from Beyond Gaming. J-Team looking to rebound after a bit of a wibbly-wobbly start to their split.
Yeah, only losses to DCG and CFO, so pretty much their sister teams. As Wako, oh my god, he almost died right there.
Minji's gonna get caught in this one. Husha, he tried to find an opening, but you can't assassinate the members that are just so darn big. And as he comes back off the stasis, everybody on Fountain is gonna get deleted. Even Kino is not safe here, and the Nexus will fall slow and steady.